Hello and welcome. We are live today with Sublimation Q&A. So basically all of your sublimation questions answered today. And I am, here and answering any questions you have. So if you are here live with me, drop any questions that you have about sublimation in general into the live chat. Now, if you're watching this on replay, welcome as well. You can always drop any sublimation questions you have in the comment section below, and I will get to those and point you to a video or a place to find the answer. So we're going to talk about sublimation today because sublimation camp starts on Thursday. So it's July 17th through 19th. And if you don't already have your free ticket, you can grab one at sublimationcamp.com. And I'll actually drop a link to get your free ticket into the live chat. And that way you can grab your free ticket and join us for Sublimation Camp. Now, this is Sublimation and Beyond Camp because it is sublimation plus so much more. So we have sublimation content, we have DTF content, there's white toner content, there's UV printing content. So if you like printer crafts in general, if you're interested in them, Sublimation Camp is the place to go. And you can definitely get your free ticket. We have basics classes that are Sublimation Basics. They're free for 3 days, all 3 days. And then you have day 1, day 2, and day 3 classes that get a little bit more in depth into sublimation and other topics. So if you haven't got your free ticket, grab it. If you are joining us, I am so glad that you are going to join us for Sublimation Camp. So today I'm just answering questions. I have a bunch of blanks here, and we can make a project or 2 or 3, whatever we have time for. Just have I have some finished projects. We can talk about those. Just a bunch of different things that we can talk about as far as sublimation goes. So let me know what you want to see. I thought I might start with, and I didn't even have time to open these up. I was rushing to get on. I thought I might start with a glitter blank. So if you don't know, sublimation needs to be used on a polyester surface, which these zipper pouches are. But these zipper pouches are already glittery. So what's going to happen is whatever we put on here, it's going to the glitter is going to show through that sublimation. So sublimation ink is translucent, which means whatever your blank is, that color, or in this case, that glitter, will show through to the front, which is very, very cool if you want a glittery look to your final sublimation project. So I have quite a few different sublimation prints here. Let's find something that will work on a zipper pouch. So what you need is sublimation ink printed on sublimation paper from a sublimation printer in general. You could use something like infusible ink for these. You could use something like artistry markers or some kind of sublimation ink is what you're going to need to make this project possible. So there's a makeup design, but I'm not totally wild about that one. So I'm going to keep flipping a little bit. Might use a little book thing here that I have. So basically I have a bunch of printed designs, but we can definitely walk through some printing if you would like to. Actually, let's use a little back to school thing. Yes, it's only July, but you might be sending the kids back to school pretty soon. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of trim this up to fit the pouch. So this is sublimation ink printed on sublimation paper from a sublimation printer. And this design is like a bunch of colorful crayons. Now, I printed this months ago, but I can press it today. And I'm going to actually heat up my heat press here. But I can press this today because this sublimation ink does not go bad or anything. So we can just press this now and make a cute little back to school zipper pouch situation. Okay. I think that will work. All right. So all I did was sort of trim around this design. And now I have like a cute little colorful crayon design, and it will fit onto this zipper pouch. And I'm going to kind of, I think I'll rearrange and change the angle here a little bit. And I'm going to do this. I should look it up. So as far as the time and temperature for any sublimation blank, you want to look it up wherever you purchase your sublimation blank. So these are Maker Flow glitter pouches. And if I look it up on their website, it should tell me the time and the temperature to use for this blank. So I'm going to hope it tells me. Well, maybe we'll just guess. Maker Flow. I need this to be in a better area. Okay, I'm going to do like 400 for 70 seconds, I'm guessing, because I don't see it right off. Oh, no, 380 for 60 seconds. All right, so 380. For 60 seconds. Okay, so I have my heat press heating up, and we can press the little zipper pouch here. So I'm going to kind of change camera angles a little bit so you can see this a little better. There we go. So what I have is a heat-resistant mat to protect my work surface, and then I have the zipper pouch itself. And actually, let me switch back here. Okay. Now it's right facing. It was totally mirrored backwards. It was driving me crazy. All right, so I'm going to kind of preheat the surface a little bit. This is not heated up, but we can definitely remove any moisture from here. Then we can open this up. If you are watching me live, can you type a comment in the live chat? I'm wondering if I'm seeing the live chat is what I'm wondering. So if you are joining me live, type a comment out, and so I can tell if I'm sort of seeing the live chat here. Now, what I'm going to do, this is like protective paper. So basically, I don't want the sublimation ink to go all the way through the zipper pouch and go onto the back of it, because it might ruin the back. So I'm going to put a piece of protective paper inside of here. And so now I have protective paper inside, and I have my sublimation print. And I'm going to kind of make sure we can press this all at one time, so I don't have to press this twice. Then I have my cute little crayons, and I'm going to plop those on approximately the center. And then just use a couple of pieces of heat-resistant tape. Heat press is heated up. And a couple pieces of heat-resistant tape, and then a piece of protective paper over the top. Now, I use artist-free protective paper. That's what I like best. So it protects the back for this piece inside of here. But I also have it where it's protecting my heat press when I put it on the top. And you can use butcher paper, something like that. I prefer this paper because I can reuse it more than I can the butcher paper, which I personally like. So that's what I sort of use, is this artist-free protective paper. And okay, and then I am going to okay, and then I'm going to add my heat press, and I'm going to try to cover this all at one time, 380 degrees, 60 seconds, and I'm just pushing down like medium pressure probably. For some reason, okay, so the live chat does not seem to be working. So I'm going to see. And it doesn't even look like you all can comment, which is not good either. So I guess I'm just winging it without any questions. Fun. Let's see. um, Hopefully I'm pressing down on this hard enough while I'm trying to, okay, that time is up, so we can move that. And I'll remove the paper, and then another sublimation secret here. So I have this taped down a couple different places. So over here in the corner, I can kind of lift it up and peek at it. Like, did it sublimate? Does it look okay? If it didn't, I put that back in the same spot. So I could just heat this again if I wanted to. So I always do sort of a little peek test. That did look okay. So I'm going to peel this back. And we have a cute back to school glitter pouch here with some fun crayons. Super easy to make with a sublimation printer. All right, let's switch back to me, and I'm going to do a little, see if I can figure this out. Okay, so chat is disabled for this live stream. I apologize for that, and I don't know why. So let me try to fix that for you all. Mm-hmm. All right, I am trying to fix the live chat. I'm so sorry. I don't even know why that would be a thing. Stream settings. And I may not be able to. Okay, so it doesn't look like I can turn it back on. Not good. Okay, so I guess I'm just sitting here and talking to myself. This is not a Q&A. Okay, so let's do this. My Instagram is, let's do this. I'm going to, let's see, send me your questions. So it's Angie Holden Makes on Instagram. And let's have you, I'm going to put that across the bottom of the screen. So send me your questions at Angie Holden Makes on Instagram as a DM, and I will answer them here as a DM because I can't get the chat to work. I mean, a fun thing for a Tuesday. Okay. Okay. Yep. I cannot turn it on now that I've started the stream, and I don't know what I did to turn it off. So sorry about that. Send me your questions on Instagram relating to sublimation. I will kind of answer those there. Sorry about that. I don't have zero idea what happened. So fun times. All right. So that was one project, zipper pouch. Very, very simple. Little back to school type of zipper pouch. So then I thought, since I disabled the live chat somehow, I thought I would show you. So this was an example of sublimation on glitter and how that glitter will show through that sublimation ink. So you can tell that a glitter blank will be glittery even where my little crayons are. So my next sort of example, I thought I would show you I have a blank that has like a wood look to it. Also for sublimation, it has a sublimation coating because that's important for sublimation. And then I have a white blank here. And I thought I'd put the same thing on both of these. And you can kind of see the difference. So you can see that if your blank has some sort of color, you would not, it would be different between, even with the same print. So I am going to so I have to remove, number one, I'm horrible about this. So some of these like cardboard blanks might have a protective film on them. I'm horrible about checking, but I am checking for the live. So you can see there's a protective film on this, and I'm just peeling it off. And I went ahead and peeled it off both sides, just in case, because I am horrible about leaving that on and then sublimating on it. All right, so I'm going to do the same print on both of these. So let's see if this is big enough. Not big enough. Let's do maybe a succulent print here. So, all right, so I am getting some questions. I'm going to kind of cut this print up for both of these and we'll sublimate on them. So first question is, can you only make mugs or tumblers in the large PYD Life oven? That's all I'm seeing on YouTube. You can make, I do make mugs and tumblers in my smaller PYD Life oven. I think that's what you're asking. But I think the larger one sold better. So that's the one that is basically available now. I'm not even sure if they're selling the small one anymore. I just thought about this actually yesterday because I love the smaller one. And I was like, I just don't see it anywhere anymore. So I don't know if it's the fact that you are not, that it's like you can't do it. I think it's the fact that more people have the larger one and that perhaps they've stopped selling the smaller one. But with saying that, you can use like a convection oven instead. A little bit harder. You got to dial in some more settings, but you could use just a standard convection oven as long as you don't use that oven for food after you use it for sublimation. So hopefully that helps with that. Okay. Is the Epson F170 printer compatible with the HP laptop? Because the colors that I print are always dull or sometimes another color. All right, so the Epson F170, I helped someone through this a couple of weeks ago. So I know that this is happening. So what happened was they did a printer update and they totally messed up the colors. And what I walked her through, and I can absolutely, if you want to message me back on Instagram, Justin, if you don't understand this. So what I walked her through was going to the Epson website, and you can go to the F170 and you can click downloads. And they actually have the download for the old printer driver on there still. So there's the new printer driver and the old one. And if you download the old printer driver and replace the new one, that old printer driver will bring your colors really back. So that's what I walked. It's been a few weeks ago, maybe a month. But I walked someone through doing that and it absolutely fixed the issue they were having. So that was the Epson F170 has an issue with colors right now. Hopefully they fix it with another update. But what fixed it was downloading the old printer driver. I always recommend, like, yes, the latest printer driver, but in this case, you need to go back to the old version because that new one is just not working well. All right, so I am looking for, okay, so 400 for 60 seconds. So I'm going to heat this heat press a little bit more for these, and I probably got to do them one at a time. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing real quick, and then I'll get back to questions. So both luggage tags, same print, and I cleaned them and taped them to the sublimation print. And what I'm going to do is press them, sublimation print side up, protected paper on both sides, and I'm going to press them at 400 degrees for 60 seconds. And I'm letting that heat up to 400 degrees. Now let me see if there's any other questions. Sorry about the live chat, guys. Sorry, I don't know what I did. All right. Okay, so someone asked what my favorite sublimation ink and paper is. So for sublimation ink, first of all, my favorite sublimation printer is the Brother SP1. So I only use the Brother ink in that printer. So that would probably be my favorite ink overall. In my converted Epson EcoTank, I do have Hippo ink installed in it. Liked it fine. Haven't had any issues. The only issue I had was at some point, I feel like Hippo ink wasn't as readily available. I don't know if it is right now or not, but if you're having trouble finding it, Cosmos ink is another one that I have really heard good things about. Favorite sublimation paper. Okay, so I have an old video where I tested different sublimation papers, but I have continued to do that over the years. I've used a wide variety of sublimation papers, and I've used like the whole, box of all of these different brands. And I must say, like, seriously, I can't tell a ton of difference between a lot of the sublimation papers out there. I don't like using copy paper for sublimation. I do like a good sublimation paper. But as far as like which one is better, I'm not sure if I can say like one is better than the other. So a few brands that I've used and liked, Makerflow, Craft Express, Heat Transfer Warehouses, Wallasub, ASub. I've used that a lot. And I've also used the Sawgrass makes a paper, and I can't think of the name of it right now. I've used it. Several other ones that I've also used. Anyway, at Hippo is another one I've used a lot. So all of those, I feel like I can't really tell a difference. So my favorite sublimation paper is kind of like a lot of them. All right, so I have my heat resistant glove on, so I'm gonna have to switch hands here. Okay. Next. Okay, got it. All right, so clarifying the question about the PYD Life oven. They want to use it on mugs and tumblers, but other things like coasters, keychains, etc. So I only use my sublimation oven for round, oddly shaped things. Because you need to add the pressure, and you're going to add the pressure with shrink wrap. And I have an example over here. We can look at that in just a second. So you're going to need to add that shrink wrap. But with flat things, I just don't feel like that shrink wrap really gets the pressure that I'm getting with these items right now as I'm sublimating them. So I don't use my oven for flat things. And I'm going to switch and we'll look at these. So I only use the oven for like rounded things, if that helps. All right, so this is the same print on a maple luggage tag here. And a white, like, what is this? Keychain. But I wanted to show you that the maple changes the color. So this is white, bright, vibrant. The colors are super vibrant, and this maple changes that. And let me like switch here, and these are hot, by the way. So this one is very vibrant in color, but when I put it on this brown, it dulls the colors out. And it's just a factor of this brown of this luggage tag showing through that sublimation ink. That's really the only factor there that's sort of dulling it out. So if you're like, the colors are super dull, but you're putting it on a blank that is gray, then that is probably the reason. All right, next up, can you sublimate on cell phone cases using a heat press? So I have I'm working on a video, have been for a while actually. So sublimation phone cases, you can do them two different ways. So the first way is, and I don't have any here, but they make a case that has a metal piece that comes separate. So you sublimate on the metal piece and then you adhere it to the phone case itself. So that would mean, like on this example, this this is not one, but this area would be sublimated. It would be like a white metal blank. And then this area would be white or black or whatever color they have and would not be sublimatable. Now, if you want to do a phone case more professionally, more like this, and have it wrap around the side, you're designed to wrap around the side, then you would need a specialty heat press. I am going to be reviewing one that works like that. It's an HTV like vacuum press. The PYD Life oven, you can buy a vacuum attachment. I've shown that before on my YouTube channel. So you would need something vacuum wise to help wrap around the edge. So you would need a specialty case, specialty press, and then specialty film to wrap around. So yes, you can sublimate them with just a flat heat press, but it would need to be that type of phone case that has a detachable back. All right, so I'm using the HTV Ront mug press and I'm having trouble getting it to meet at the seam. There's a bag inside. Is it a shrink wrap? So HTV Ront mug press, you should not need any type of shrink wrap. And it probably won't meet at the seam. So generally with my mug or tumbler presses, if you're doing a tumbler and you want a full wrap, I do it on one side and then I flip it and I do it for the same amount of time on the opposite side. And that way that seam area gets heated like on the bottom when you flip it. So the answer is it probably won't meet at the seam. And I do have a full video on the HTV Ront tumbler press, if that's what you have, that shows how to do that. And then I did say we would talk about shrink wrap. I'll talk about that really quickly because this relates to that as well. So when you're using an oven, and I have these, this video will be up Tuesday. So they're like sublimation straws. So when you have a sublimation oven, you need something to get the pressure. You do that a few different ways. Shrink wrap is one of those ways. And all shrink wrap is like a sleeve that you put your oddly shaped items in, and then you heat them with a heat press and it shrinks to the surface, applying the pressure. So these are only used, the shrink sleeves are only used in an oven. You don't need the shrink sleeves when you have a press that fits, say, your mug or your tumbler. It would only be if you use an oven for those. And then I do have a tumbler here. So on that HTV Ront tumbler press, you probably have a seam like along here, like it won't fully close. So you would press it this way, and then the seam, you would open the press, flip it down, and press it a second time to get that seamed area. Right. And what program is best to make sublimation designs that are free? So I do have a video. It's called Sublimation Software, and it walks through several programs. Personally, like the best, I like Canva the best, but you might like something else best, and that's okay. We all are different. I personally like Canva best, and they have tons of features even on the free version. I do subscribe to the paid version just because of other things I do. There are tons of features on the free version that would definitely work. And Justin, I will I'll email you, I'll message you back. Don't let me forget though, and walk you through finding that old driver for the F-170. Where do you get most of your blanks, or is it a large variety of vendors? I would say a fairly large variety, but I do think quality blanks are something that is very important for your sublimation. So a few different suppliers. Maker Flow has great blanks, and they're also very unique, a lot of those. So I tend to head to there for a lot. That maple luggage tag was from Artistry. I love their shirts, onesies, etc. So I get a lot of those from Artistry. I'm just like looking around. PYD Life. If I'm on Amazon, I tend to look for PYD Life blanks because I do think they're high quality. I can get them on Amazon and get them quickly. They are coming out with tons of unique ones, so also that fits the bill because I like a unique blank that no one's seen. Heat Transfer Warehouse, Johnson's Plastic Plus. Trying to think. Pro World is another one I look at. Heat Press Nation. I'm like looking around at the different blanks I have sitting here. Cricut Infusible Ink blanks. I use those sometimes. So yes, a wide variety, but I try to stick with brands that I know and trust when it comes to sublimation blanks. Just because, I mean, there's some bad blanks on the market, and I just I try to stay away from a lot of those random no name brands on Amazon unless I'm just willing to chance it and give it, just like risk my money type of thing. So I tend to stick with the ones that I know and trust. All right. So if you're just joining us live, I messed up when I set up the live and I turned off the live chat. So you can send me your questions at Angie Holden Makes on Instagram. Just DM me, and I'm answering those questions during this live. I do apologize. I don't know what I did. I will go back and try to figure it out so it's not doesn't happen in a future video. But people are basically DMing me their questions. All right, what is the best shrink wrapped for tumblers? That was another question I got. For tumblers, I don't have it over here. It's I don't want to get out of screen. So for tumblers, there is one that I don't know if they still have it or not, but Heat Transfer Warehouse had one that is on a roll. So instead of being like cut to size, it was just a continuous roll. And I use that one most often, actually, because I can cut it to fit. Like I can just cut it to fit whatever size tumbler I'm using, rather than I feel like a lot of them I waste a lot of it because it's kind of the wrong size, but I just shrink it down. So probably Heat Transfer Warehouse, the one on a roll, is the one I've been using most often. So Heat Transfer Warehouse, any of the blank suppliers I just mentioned, if they carry shrink wrap, then I feel good that it is going to do okay and not melt in my oven. I've had some PYD Life hit or miss. I've had some of those melt in the oven. It's not like the end of the world. It melts. It'll kind of come off eventually. It's fine. Okay. All right. So someone bought a sublimation blank and they gave the blank in a PDF. So I guess they gave, I got you. So they gave like this product sizes in a PDF instead of like a template or something like that. So and that is a super cute sublimation blanket, and I've thought about doing those. So it's it's like looks like a roll of film, and you pull it out and you can sublimate different pictures on it. So if you want to see me do those on a YouTube video, message me and let me know. Okay. So how would I do this? I would probably they gave you the overall dimensions. And then I would probably measure on the blank itself, like the spacing in between those small things. So what's going to happen when you get any sublimation blank is you're going to need like, the dimensions, the length, what width it needs to be, that type of thing. And some places will give you the length and the width, others won't. If I don't get the length and the width from someone, I take the blank and measure it out. Now, I tend to like oversize my templates just a little bit, and I feel like that one in particular has black edges. So you could do that. So you could oversize those little squares a little bit and not have any issues, but I would probably just measure each one individually. Maybe that helps, but it's probably not going to be easy to make the template. Okay. Yep. Okay, so someone asked about paper type when you're printing. Okay, so it depends on what printer you have, which you noted a little bit. So when you are, and goes into printer settings. So when you have a converted Epson EcoTank, you can choose from a wide variety of paper settings, right? So there's like matte paper settings, premium matte, gloss paper settings. All those paper settings do is they're determining how much ink is laid down on the paper. So a lot of times I recommend a matte paper setting for a lot of the blanks, but sometimes some blanks or some images that are really dark, you would need to change that paper setting to lay down less ink because you might have trouble with like the black blowing out if there's a lot of black in the design and making little specks all over your sublimation. So you can change that paper setting to reflect that. Now, when you get into the F170, in Justin's case, he has the F170, there's not that option anymore. So there's not an option for paper type. So those printers, the dedicated sublimation printers, they're supposed to handle it a different way. So in the F170's case, there's two different options. There's the textile option and the one for hard surfaces. So there's like a textile and a non-textile, and I don't know what the word they use. So you would choose what your blank is, whether it's a textile or a hard surface, and the printer is supposed to know how much ink to lay down on that paper. When you get into the Sawgrass printer, you choose like the type of blank, same type of thing. So you're choosing like ceramic blanks or acrylic blanks, or you choose the type of blank, and it prints out using that setting the amount of ink you need down. Now the Brother SP1, it doesn't really have any of those settings, and I just mirror my print, and I've actually never had an issue. So I don't know what the magic is with the SP1, but I haven't had any issues, and I've been using it for a while now. And I am about to cough. Hold on. So you can definitely like play with the paper settings on the Epson EcoTank. But like Justin has the F170, you should not need to do that. You should just need to pick like textile or hard surface when you print. Oh yes, and someone mentioned when for blanks they like the Maker's Market from Michaels. That's another good one. It definitely is. I don't shop in store a ton. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm not close to a craft store, so in store it's like just less convenient for me to go in store. So most of the time I'm ordering online, which is the reason I mentioned online brands. So me personally, I'm usually online only for sublimation blanks. All right. And yes, so someone said they would love to see me do the little keychain. It has the it looks like a roll of film. I almost purchased them a couple months ago, actually. So it looks like a roll of film. You pull out this little keychain, and there's like there's little spaces for pictures. So it's like an old school roll of film, and you sublimate the pictures on like the little film strip and kind of pull it out and can put it back in. Yeah, so I have thought about getting those, Laura. I might just have to pick them up now that someone has suggested it. All right, so we are talking all about sublimation today, and I'm doing a Q&A on sublimation and accidentally turned off the live comment and chat. So people are messaging me on Instagram at Angie Holden Makes on Instagram. So you can message me with literally any sublimation question, and I will try to answer those or sort of point you in the right direction. As I'm chatting, if there are links that you're like, I like mentioned, I have a full video for the HTV Ront Tumbler press, and you're like, I don't know where that is. You can also message me on Instagram, and I will get you the link for that full video as well, because I cannot drop it in the live chat and you see it. So I apologize for that. All right, so I made a couple of projects during this at the beginning before I knew the live chat was off. So fun. So I was just showing that you can use glitter blanks and your glitter shows through your sublimation. And that's one example. And then another example is that if you use something like this wood grain sublimation blank, that wood grain will also show through, and it sort of alters the colors from something that is white. So instead of being this bright white vibrant, it is going to be duller just because the base color of your sublimation blank was not white. So generally, seriously, 90% of the time, I use a white sublimation blank just because of that. Just because the colors look way better, they pop off. Every once in a while, I might use something else. I do like the glitter for a little change, but mostly I use white, unless I just want to show how much it changes the color, because they just don't look as bright and white, as vibrant as something that you do on white, unfortunately, which is one of the drawbacks of sublimation, right? You need that polyester or polycoated blank. So you need a special blank, and it needs to be white or very light color. Where do you find, or can you share a link for roll paper for small format printers? There is I got mine from Heat Transfer Warehouse, and I had to ask them to carry it at the time. So let me see if they still carry it. So they do have it. Let's see if it's for small. They stopped carrying the one for small. So there is one that's Epson Sure Color. I'm pretty sure makes the smaller width. So I used it with a Sawgrass sublimation printer and the bypass tray you put on there, and you could feed through long sheets of paper, and I used the roll for that. Possibly look for Epson Sure Color paper in that smaller width, or Sawgrass sublimation paper in the smaller width. I had a very hard time finding it when I wanted to buy a roll. The roll has lasted me forever though, because I don't use it that often. So I haven't had to repurchase, unfortunately. But I did have a hard time finding it in the smaller width. Okay. This is a good question. Let me pull out. So it says, if after sublimating a lot of color is left on the sublimation paper, does that mean the time pressed wasn't long enough? Absolutely not. So this was one that I just pressed for this guy right here. So you can see where the blank was and how it's lighter there. However, just because there's still ink left, like there's ink left, it looks like here, that doesn't mean that I didn't press it well enough, or that enough ink didn't transfer. I feel like, first of all, I feel like different brands of sublimation paper release different amounts of ink to me. So it depends on the brand of paper I'm using, how much ink release I get. Now, does my blank look any different? I don't feel like it does. So I think that maybe it's the amount of ink your printer is basically laying down. And maybe it's laying down too much ink, so you think there's too much ink left on there. And one thing that I've done before is I've tried to like repress this, like, on the back of this or another blank or something, and I've tried to repress it to see, like, is there enough ink on here? Because it looks like there would be enough to do a whole nother piece. There's not. Like, nothing really transfers on that second press besides a little bit of ink. So I don't think that you can judge by how much is left on the paper. My judge is basically doing that peak test. If you didn't see when I was making the zipper pouch, basically before I pulled this off, I just lifted up the corner and peeked to see if it was sublimated. If this looks good, I don't worry about how much ink was left on this piece here. And then another thing I'm just noticing, which is very cool. So this paper, and you're not going to be able to tell probably, but it was done on a glitter blank, and where the glitter is, there's like more ink left on the paper. So apparently where the glitter spots are, not as much ink was transferred from the paper. So that's pretty cool. But I don't judge how much ink is left on the paper as to whether or not I've done a good job. I basically judge the blank itself. So hopefully that helps. All right, I've been trying to sublimate and Cricut and another brand of trucker hats, and I'm having such a hard time. Okay, I am guessing that I'm trying to look. Yeah, so she's getting some ghosting. So, with hats, um, I don't have one here, but it's going to be tough to get, like, there's some ghosting at the top. It's gonna be tough to get, like, the entire surface on those larger designs. So what Cricut recommends is to keep them well within that the width of that Cricut hat press. When I'm talking well within, the recommendation is kind of crazy. So it actually recommends a fairly small area. And I feel like when you get towards the top, yes, the Cricut hat press isn't hitting it and you might have to press it again. But also, as you get towards the top, especially on other brands of hats that aren't theirs, if you'll notice that trucker hats a lot of times are pointed up there. And I just don't think you're getting enough pressure in that area because of the shape of the hat itself and not fitting the form as well. So the Cricut hats are made for that form, a little bit easier to press on it. You can use other hats. Yes, you're just going to have to be cautious about like the design you use and how close you get it to the bill, as well as how high up you get it onto like that little point there on the trucker hat itself. So it can be frustrating. I feel like the HTV Ront hat press is it's not as wide, but the hat form is a little different. Or you could just like try something like sewing hams. So they make like sewing hams that go in various like sleeves and shoulders and different things like that. And I bought a set, and a lot of times I use those to stuff up in things to get more of a pressure on an item when I'm pressing things like hats or something like that. What tips do you have for sublimation prints that are larger than your press and may take moving the blank and doing it for more than one press? Yeah, so this is so hard. Mine is a 15 by 15, and she's doing a tote bag that's a little longer. Okay, I do have a video. It's on garden flags, but same type of process. And you can definitely check out the full video. The tips and tricks, though, don't always work. I'm just going to say that. So anytime you do that second press, you're going to risk a ghosting line where, especially where the very overlap is where you're pressing. So anything, first of all, can you do anything with the design would be my first thing. So I don't know what the design looks like, but perhaps, it's a, some kind of image and then text below it. Can you press the image and then the text later? Can you divide up the design somehow? That's going to be your best bet. If you can't, if it's like a full bleed, you're going to do the whole thing. You just need to move it. In that video, basically I take like stiff cardboard and lay it out so that I don't have to move the item itself and risk like shifting everything. But the risk is always, always there for, like I said, ghosting where the pressing overlaps. And I just don't know. I just haven't found a consistent way. Sometimes it looks great. Other times I'm like, why did it do it this time? Why? Why did it do it this time? Why is it ghosting where I overlapped? So it just like a hit or miss, basically. So like I said, anything you can do with the design to make it two presses would be the primary thing. And then the second thing, watch that video, do everything you can to keep it from moving, and press just as soon, like open the press up, move it, press again. That way it doesn't have time to cool off as much. Is another thing. But know that I don't think you're ever going to get like 100% perfect when you're using a small press with a larger item, unfortunately. Someone else might have some great tip, but I've tried so many and I just feel like it's, yeah. All right. Okay. So if you have any more questions, like last call for questions, sorry about this, but you're going to have to message me on Instagram at Angie Holden Makes with your questions, because Angie accidentally turned off the live chat and can't get it turned back on. So sorry. If this is not live, however, you can ask any questions in the comment section below. Hopefully that appears once this live is not there. And So in last call for questions. Now, if you are interested in sublimation and you have not yet, grab your free ticket to Sublimation Camp. So you can get your free ticket right now. And Sublimation Camp starts Thursday. It's July 17th, 18th, and 19th. We are covering all things sublimation. All 3 days, we have basics classes for sublimation for free. So be sure to pick up your ticket. There's also like $4,000 worth of giveaways that you can enter with a free ticket. Definitely no reason not to get the free ticket. If you want extended access and some other bonuses, there is a paid option, but I would definitely just recommend that you get that free ticket for now. And join us at Sublimation Camp. This year we are covering sublimation and beyond. So we have sublimation content, DTF content, white toner printing content, like all types of printer crafts. And we really think you're going to like it. So be sure to grab that free ticket and join us. If you have your free ticket already, yay. And we can't wait for camp to start and to get into the fun. All right. So I don't see any more questions for now. Sorry about the chat situation. So thank you all so much for joining me. If you joined me during the live, or if you watch the replay, feel free, if you watch that replay, ask sublimation questions in the comment section below. So thank you all so much for joining me and hanging with me with my tech issues today. So thank you all.